Hello and welcome to our first monthly live conversation. My name's Vanessa Vanderhoek, and today what we're covering is what microbiome gut testing is. But before we get to that, I need to say something very important, that the information shared today does not replace one-on-one relationship that you have with a qualified health professional, and it should not be taken or considered as health or medical advice. So if you haven't heard me share my approach, then I think it's really important that you understand where I'm coming from. So when I work with parents, I take an approach that has three prongs or three tiers or three phases, whatever you call it. And the first one is where I help work with them to address the non-negotiables in their food and lifestyle choices. And for some families, it's hard because it's a big change as far as removing sugar and processed foods and things like that. But what I do is I meet you where you and your family are at. And I ask you, do you want to go mild, medium, or hot? So some families say, I want to go hot. I'm going to do this and I'm going to start. They bring in the wheelie bin, or that's what we call it in Australia, the rubbish tin, and clean out their cupboards and fridge. For other people, for other families, they say, look, we want to go a bit slower. And that's completely up to you. I don't judge. I meet you where you and your family are at to help you slowly work through what are some of the things that do need to change. The other thing that I help you work on, the second area, is supporting your child to go from deficiency to sufficiency in vitamins and minerals in their body. So that's not only in what they're intaking and eating, but it's also their absorption of these nutrients. And thirdly, really importantly, I help you work through where is some of the dysfunction and the autoimmune overreaction potentially coming from. And this is working through to say, look, what could some of the root causes be? What could some of the triggers be? And what are some of the things that we can do from a functional nutrition perspective? When we talk about dismantling dysfunction, again, there's three areas where I focus on. One is environmental. So that's things like nutrition, it's things like stress, it's things like infections, mold, Lyme, etc. The second area is genetics. So does your child have a genetic predisposition? And the third is gut. So working out what is happening in their gut. And that's where we're focused today. All about the microbiome and poop testing. So if you haven't watched it, I do have a free workshop called The Top 3 Ways to Support Your Child's JIA Naturally Without Going Against Your Doctor's Advice. So I do have a recording from the last time I ran this workshop, which you can watch in your own time. Or if you would like to attend live, drop me a note below and I'll be sure to send you the details of when it's being held. I record everything because I work across all the time zones in the world, and so you will never miss out. So if there's, and I try to hold these things at different times to accommodate for different time zones. So if you want to watch a recording, go for gold, let me know and I will send it to you. So the gut microbiome, so what the research is showing, that childhood does present a great opportunity for us to alter the course of rheumatic diseases through interventions where we target the gut, the microbiota, which is the bacteria and the fungus and the yeast and everything which makes up that gut microbiome. And there's a really strong body of evidence that is emerging that says, you know, the immune system, which 80% of your child's immune system is in their gut, is influenced by the mucosal barrier, so the lining of the gut, and that impacts everything with regards to their immune health. So a dysregulation in that mucosal lining can, they're saying, play a role in the development of JIA. So if you attended my workshop, then you would have heard me talk about this, because what I hear a lot of people saying is, I just don't get it. Like, what does the gut have to do with joints? And, you know, if we think about our body like a donut, so the middle of the donut is our gastrointestinal system. So actually in the middle of our body, we're hollow, like the middle of the donut. So what we ingest in our mouth is actually one of the biggest sources of pathogens. And I don't say that to scare you, it's just a fact. And what we've got in our body is a really complex system of enzymes and acid and bile, which and bugs, which protect us. So what happens is when we're having foods and ingesting things, perhaps, you know, from an environmental perspective, we've been exposed to infections or mold, or we were born by C-section and weren't born or incubated with the right bacteria right from birth. Then when we're ingesting some of these pathogens, our body can't mount the immune response that it needs to. And perhaps that's impacted that mucosal lining to be altered and what we call permeable, which is also known as leaky gut. When we've got issues with that lining of the gut, what that means is proteins escape through the blood and our body basically tags them as an invader. And as it should, those things shouldn't be in the blood system. So the body is actually doing what it's meant to do. It's protecting your child. And so what's happening when it's tagging these proteins is it's creating this autoimmune overcorrection and inflammation. And for some people, where we find it landing is, you know, skin conditions, in joints, in eyes, in organs, etc. And what the science is showing is that mucosal permeability, or this leaky gut, is influencing the direction of T cells. And so what we're trying to do is work through what's the level of environmental influence on your child, what's the impact of genetics on your child, and what's the impact of the gut health on your child. Because if we look at all those three elements, we can work through interventions to hopefully help them. So the gut test, in the first consultation that I have with you, we do a very comprehensive family and health history. And that's where I start joining the dots and thinking about what's going on for your child. If functional testing is deemed necessary, this may be one of the tests that we run, a gut microbiome test. And if it is, what we do is I send you the kit so I can order it for people in Australia, America and Canada. And what we do is work through, you know, you collect the stool sample, the poo, put it in the vial, send it off, and you get the results in about 6 weeks. If you live in countries outside of Australia, America and Canada, and you'd like to do this test, let me know, because there are other ways that we can order it. So just drop me a note and we can work through what's going to work for you. So it takes 6 weeks to get the results back. So what I do with you is work through getting started. So there's no point just wasting 6 weeks. It's about saying, okay, well, what can we do based on what we know now? That may change based on what we learn. We may change up their foods. We may take things out, bring things in, but we can always get started. So that's kind of how I help get you going on this journey. So look, very rarely on the front page when we get this report do I see things. So if I see things on the front page, we've really got to stop to say, okay, what's going on here? Where I like to go is the end of the report straight away. And this gives me a good idea of what's going on. So, you know, do they have leaky gut? Is their zonulin increased? How high is it? I see in a lot of Facebook groups where parents say, fix leaky gut, do this, fix a leaky gut, and they just give random advice. The thing is, if you're not clear on what's causing the leaky gut. And we never know for sure, but what we use is all this as data to create a hypothesis. Then it's just going to come back. Okay, so if you're just saying I'm taking collagen and I'm doing this and bone broth, it doesn't work for everyone. So if your child's got an issue with histamines, those things are going to make your child worse. Okay, so it's about stopping to go, okay, what's sitting behind the high zonulin, which is the protein that keeps, we don't want high zonulin, because zonulin's a protein, and when it's high, it means the gut's permeable and things can escape. So why is it? Why is it inflamed? Why is it high? The other thing we look at here is like, what's their digestion doing? Can they digest fats? Are they producing enough enzymes? How's their liver clearing toxins? Of course, we don't want blood, and we don't want to see this calprotectin elevated either. And also again here, so there's secretory IgA. What I want to see is that it's within range. Like this person, most of the time is very, very low. About 20% of the time it's really off the charts high. So we need to make sure that this is well within range, that the body is able to mount a good immune response. This is a mucosal lining that I was talking about. The anti-gliadin IgA is seeing if you have an immune response, which is a non-celiac response, antibody response to gliadin, which is a protein in wheat. So, you know, if this number's high, then we've got the data. Then we go, okay, gluten most certainly has to come out 100%. So when I'm saying high, I'm talking anything over about 70. So this gives us a really good picture. And, you know, often with phase 1, so when I work with clients, there's usually 3 phases, sometimes 4. This basically tells me what we've got to do for phase 1. Then what we do is we work on to say, okay, well, are you carrying, or is the child carrying H. pylori? How big's the colony? But very importantly here, the good bacteria. So as we can see here, the person's got reasonable levels of bacteria. There's a couple here which are low. So it's again saying, okay, why could they be low? What do they need? Do they need certain foods? Do they need specific targeted supplementation? So rather than taking a whole bunch of supplements and not knowing why or if they're working, we're taking the right ones. And again, you don't want to be just taking probiotics willy-nilly, because you don't want these guys to also be overreactive. We can see here the Akkermansia is high, really high, significantly high. And that is because of the zonulin. Because of zonulin, there's leaky gut, the Akkermansia has gone in and is quite crazy. So we've got to bring that guy back as well. So again, it's working through what foods can we use. Then with the opportunistic bacteria. So look, our goal here is to reduce them. It would be great to eliminate them. But this is a phase 2 and a phase 3 approach. We don't go in straight away working really hard on these guys because your child could get quite sick, especially if they've got intestinal permeability or leaky gut. We can see here that in research, there's good research showing that these bacteria have linkages with autoimmune triggers, and also evidence saying that when we hold these bacteria, there's a continued autoimmune response. So most certainly we want to be working through ways to reduce those. So with Klebsiella, there's food that obviously we can work on. So again, you don't know what you're dealing with unless you have a look and see what's going on in there. We want to know if there's any yeast, candida, and specifically, we don't often see these other guys, and we hardly ever see viruses as well. Parasites, I often see, and usually it's because there's kids carry parasites, they pass them on, they're digging in soil, they're putting fingers in their mouths. But when we see them, particularly in high levels, it comes back to asking the question on what's their digestion like? Do they have the resilience in their body to fight these off? I don't often see worms, to be honest. I don't think I've ever seen a worm, but yeah, parasites I do see. So if you've got any questions, drop them below. You can also private message me if you would rather. And, you know, the thing that I'd share is if you want to know more about my program, it's a fabulous 4-month program where you can do the gut testing and other testing if we work through that, that's necessary. But like I said, where we start is a consultation where I work through with you what their family and health history is, what their symptoms are, where are they at the moment, what are your goals as a family. And then if necessary, we order the gut test. Like I said, it takes 6 weeks, but I work with you to then create something that you can work with for the next 6 weeks until we get the results back. In the program, you get a very detailed guide, which is step by step on things that are shown in research to help JIA from a functional perspective. You get recipes, so you're getting over 100 recipes, which are family friendly and delicious. You're getting lessons where they're very short and sharp, so you can watch or listen to them in your own time. But they also take you through elements which I know can be really challenging for some families, and that's around introducing new foods, picky eating, strategies for making the change, where to start, all of those things. So that's there for you as well. Each week I hold a live JIA nutrition clinic. So in between our consultations, if you want to talk to me one-on-one, if other parents drop in, then it's beautiful because there's a community of us. But that's a great opportunity. So for me, I struggled in between appointments with some of my children's practitioners where I had to wait. I had to wait sometimes weeks or months to ask a question. So I've created this drop-in clinic so you can just jump on and ask a question. You can also message me. So in the platform that I use called Better, you can message me anytime. So you do get access to the program. Like I said, it is a 4-month program. And the reason it's 4 months is because I've got the 3 or 4 stages of working with you. For some families, they say 4 months, it's too quick. I need longer, no problem. You get access to the program for 12 months. And if I run the program for 5 years, you'll get access to it for 5 years, for instance. I'm never going to take you out. So you'll just be in there. If I make updates to it, you'll get the updates. But the thing is, if you want to get going and get started and you want to move towards the time frame that I've laid out, then you can get you can do it within 4 months. So that's how it works. If you want to know more, then let me know. So you can book a discovery call with me. I'll put a link below. In the discovery call, I'll get to know a little bit more about you and your goals and what you want for your family. But in the meantime, if you want to get started on making some of these changes within your family, then you can. All you've got to do is let me know and I'll register you and you can get signed up and we can get started. Because remember, it does take 6 weeks to get a lot of these functional tests back. And that's just time. I know for myself with my daughter, I just didn't want to waste any more time. So that's it for today. Like I said, if you've got any questions, just drop me a note. I'll put a link to book a discovery call. It is free, so feel free to get in touch if you want to know any more about my approach, my style, the gut test. Let me know. I am here for you. You're not alone. I know how hard it is. I've been in your shoes. It's awful, but that's why I'm showing up. And that's why I've totally changed my career, gone to university, studied nutrition. I'm finishing my master's to help you because, I feel like this is a powerful and a very missing piece of many children's journeys. So until our next live, talk to you soon. Bye.